Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. The United Nations launched its biggest ever humanitarian appeal for Syria at a donors conference in Berlin, seeking $8.4 billion after only securing about half the funding it asked for in 2014. Kurdish Peshmerga fighters have fought their way to Iraq's Mount Sinjar and freed hundreds of people trapped there by Islamic State of Iraq and Syria fighters. The Pentagon says several leaders of the Islamic State group in Iraq have been killed in US airstrikes in recent weeks, dealing a blow to the jihadist forces. Russian permanent representative in the UN, Vitaly Churkin, told media that Russia is ready to support a draft resolution moved in the UN Security Council to establish a Palestinian state. And the White House has called the cyber attack on Sony Pictures a serious national security matter, threatening an appropriate response, as others pointed the finger at Pyongyang. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting in Lebanon, the Daily Star leads reporting that a recent video ISIS has said it is holding former Prime Minister Said Hariri, MP Walid Jumblat and Lebanese forces leader Samir Geagea responsible for the lives of the 25 Lebanese hostages. The paper also reports that Maronite Patriarch Bashar al-Ray has called on church court officials to ensure that cases are being processed quickly, efficiently and without extra cost, citing complaints by the public about red tape, delays and high cost of church transactions. The Egypt Independent leads its Middle East news, reporting that US President Barack Obama spoke to his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Thursday and expressed concern over mass trials and the continued detention of journalists and peaceful activists. The paper also reports that Tunisian presidential candidate Beji Caid Es-Sebsi is competing in a runoff with the interim president Monsef Marzouki to take place on 21st December. From the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that in a spectacular comeback, the Dubai stock market rallied 13% on Thursday to record its biggest one-day gain ever, triggering a rebound across the Gulf bourses as world oil prices steadied after plummeting to multi-year lows. The paper also reports that students grieving for their classmates massacred by the Pakistani Taliban have vowed to defy the militants and return to school as soon as possible. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines from the UK papers. The Guardian leads its Middle East news, reporting that US-led airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq have killed 3 of the militant group's top leaders, but not senior commander Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Among those killed was Abd al-Basit, whom the officials described as the group's military emir, and Haji Mutaz, a deputy to Baghdadi. The Independent leads its Middle East news, reporting that emails have revealed that US counterterrorism officials backed negotiations with the spiritual leadership of ISIS to free American ISIS hostage Peter Kasich that would include prominent jihadi clerics and a former Guantanamo Bay detainee. Emails reportedly show the ultimately unsuccessful talks to rescue Kasich with the militant group's spiritual leadership began in October and were designed by New York lawyer Stanley Cohen, who has previously represented Osama bin Laden's son-in-law in court. The Telegraph reports that smugglers in Istanbul are bribing politicians, police chiefs and border guards in several European countries to turn a blind eye to a racket that is bringing tens of thousands of desperate refugees to the continent. If refugees are able to pay and willing to risk dire, sometimes fatal conditions, smugglers can deliver their clients to European capitals, including Vienna, Paris, Amsterdam and Stockholm, in each case with the help of immigration officers, they say. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in the international papers. Germany's Deutsche Welle leads its Middle East news, reporting that the United Nations is trying to raise $8.4 billion after only securing half of the funding it asked for this year. UN officials told donors in Berlin on Thursday that the number of people needing humanitarian aid has increased by 2.9 million in just 10 months. And finally, the international New York Times reports that 1 million children younger than 5, roughly a third of the age group in Yemen, are suffering from life-threatening malnourishment, according to Daniela D'Urso, the head of the European Commission's Humanitarian Aid Office in Yemen. About 2 million children are chronically malnourished, and nearly 60% of Yemeni children suffer from stunted growth. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again on Monday. Bye for now.